Hey everyone, welcome back. This is going to be part two of the Vellum series that I'm doing. And in this tutorial, we're going to learn about the pressure constraint and how to set up a balloon type effect. Um, so we're going to go ahead and I'll show you what you're going to make. This is the final product. Let's go ahead and head over to Houdini and get started. All right, here we are in Houdini. So first up, as usual, let's create that geometry container. And we're going to start with making a sphere. This sphere is basically going to be the container object for our balloons to kind of occupy, the space to occupy. All of these defaults should be fine. Let's go ahead and switch this to polygon and change the frequency to something like 5. We'll keep this kind of low res in the beginning. Um, so now what we need to do is I want to scatter some points inside of this sphere, and then attach other spheres to those, and then blow them up like a balloon, and have this sphere be the collision object. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and create a volume, and we'll just use ISO offset. This is a bit more of an old school way of doing this, but it's just the way that I know how to do. Um, I think all of these should be fine. Yep. And then we'll do a scatter. And this just gives us some points inside of this volume. Let's lower this to 32. And you can see we have points. Let me go ahead and turn my background to dark so you guys can see that. So we've got some points. Now we want to put some attributes on these points that are going to follow over to the copy. So let's just do an adjust color. And then for this, we're just going to go down here to pattern type and just select random. And then over here, we get a color ramp. I'm just going to select something like magma. You can pick whatever you want as far as colors go. Won't matter. And then we want to do an attribute randomize. And this is going to be for P scale, which is going to allow us to make our copies different sizes. Um, for the P scale, let's just go ahead and set this to continuous and down to 3 dimensions. And we'll set this at 1.5 and 3.3. And this can be all adjusted later on. No big deal. So next up, let's go ahead and do a copy to points. And let's grab a sphere. Whoop. And pair those up. And we get this. So for the sphere itself, let's bring the scale down to the 0.05. And frequency, let's set this to just polygon and a frequency of 5. And now we've got some spheres here. Um, and that's the basic setup. So let's head into Vellum now. Um, First thing we're going to need is a Vellum configure balloon right here. And that's going to drop some nodes down. It's going to give us a cloth constraint and a pressure constraint. We're going to wire our copies into that. Throw down a Vellum solver. Oops. Like so. And then let's go back through these constraints. So first up with the cloth, let's go ahead and these are all fine. let's go down to our stretch right here. Let's set that to 1 and then to 10. And these settings that I'm putting in here, um, this was just me figuring this stuff out through trial and error. I'm not pulling these numbers just out of thin air or anything. It was just dialing the simulation in. And then under our bend constraint, let's go ahead and set this to 10. And I think that should be it that we need. Stretch is fine. Yep. And then we'll go to our pressure constraint. Let's go ahead and take a look here. The things that we really need to kind of concern ourselves with in this is the stretch. So this needs to be pretty high because we're basically going to fill these balloons with air, with gas. And if that's low, it'll be a problem. So that's set at 1 million. And then I think that's up. We need an output group here because we're going to animate this parameter. I could spell stretch. And that P is just pressure stretch because you can see we've got different. If I put it to just plain old stretch, it would overwrite this constraint. So there's our pressure, and I think that's about it. Let's go into the solver. Substeps, let's bump that up to like 4. What else? You know what? Let's just, now I'll keep it at 4. Bump up our constraint iterations to 200. And then under forces, let's go ahead and get rid of the gravity. I think everything else is fine here, and all the rest of this should be okay at default. And let's go ahead and switch this to smooth shaded, and then just give it a run, see what happens. So nothing. Super exciting. Remember, we don't have any gravity, and we haven't animated this pressure yet. So that's why nothing's kind of happening. Everything is just sitting here um, static, as it should. So let's go ahead and make this a bit more exciting. First thing we want to do is grab our sphere and plug that in down here into our collision geometry. And let's go ahead and just increase its size. Oh, maybe not. Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and add a transform. Transform. Let's scale it out. We just want to make sure all of those points are inside of the sphere. And that works. So let's go ahead and set up that pressure constraint that we were talking about. We're going to dive in here, and we're going to do something a bit new. So the first thing I'm going to do is just do a pop attract, because I want these to kind of, all of these balloons to kind of snap to the center. As far as settings for this, again, it's lots of dialing in. A value I found was pretty good is 2.84, and the rest of this stuff is as usual. And the next thing we're going to do is do a Vellum constraint properties. And this node is super powerful and super fun to deal with. So what this node allows us to do is access those attributes on a constraint and then animate them, which is super cool. So let's go ahead and select the group. And there's our P stretch group, so we're going to grab that. And then here's the rest length scale. This is going to have to be animated to get our balloons to kind of to give them volume, right? So at frame 1, we'll just have it set to 1, and then let's go out to like say frame 30. Actually, you know what? I want to show this again. Back on frame one. Let's go ahead and turn this little brain off down here. So now I can scrub around without the dynamics kicking in. And we'll just go out to 30 something. Just go to 30. And set that. And then let's go ahead and expand these. So let's say at 30, let's go up to 20 for the wrestling scale. And alt clicking to set the parameter, and that should do it. I think that's it. So let's go back out. Let's go to frame one and hit play. Now we'll see everything's being attracted in. And now we're filling it, each of the balloons up with gas. Super fun, very cool way of dealing with Vellum. And you can do all kinds of animation around this. We can add in some more forces. So let's say we add an axis force. Let's go ahead and under shape, this all should be fine. Speed, let's go ahead and change our speed to 3 for the orbit. And that's all we'll need to do. Jump back up and give it a run here, see what happens. Now they're kind of spinning around, which is good. And they're going to start to fill up now. So another cool thing that we can do with this is let's go to our uniform scale and turn off our simulation, and then let's just say over, I don't know, 48 frames, let's shrink it down. Really put some pressure on those boards. All right, and let's simulate and see what we get. See, now they're going to start all squeezing together. Now if we go down and just put down a Vellum post process, see we get this really cool object. Bloop, bloop. Very fun. So that's it for this lesson. These constraints in here, this Vellum constraint property is very, very powerful. Obviously, you can go through and animate all of these constraints, which is super fun. And that's it. Thanks, everyone.